And most people go through a dark night of the soul where it's like your whole life falls apart. But this is a good thing. I know it doesn't feel like it, but everything in life is good. Even if it seems bad, it's always leading us to something good. So today I want to discuss the number one sign that you are going through a spiritual awakening. Before I jump into today's video, I wanted to explain to you guys why I created Ignite Your Soul Self-Mastery School. So I know that there's a ton of you who are already enrolled in this school, and it's set up where there are 3 main courses and then a couple meditations, guided meditations in there. And the reason why I created this school is because when I went through my spiritual awakening, so I always knew about the law of attraction, I was always manifesting, but I was still asleep because I was not aware that I was not my mind. I was still believing that I was my mind. So I was really trying to derive my sense of self through my manifestations. And I remember just manifesting things and manifesting things and manifesting things and being so unhappy and so miserable and so depressed and just going through this spiral and just thinking, like, what is going on? And so I had my catalyst for my awakening a couple years ago. I would say maybe 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. I'm like, what? But there were a couple of different things that happened that sort of ignited this, but there was like a very specific moment that I remember. And I remember having this sort of like Kundalini activation. And it was really odd because I was actually driving home and I had this, it was like all of my senses opened up, senses I wasn't even aware of. It was just this really odd experience. And that must have been the time where my third eye and my crown chakra opened, because I started to be able to sense things before they happen. So I talked about this in a prior video, but I was seeing events play out in my mind before they would happen. So I would see something, and let's say the next day or a week later, that exact thing that I saw in my mind was playing out. Or I'd be able to like sense what someone was thinking or feeling, even if they weren't saying it. It was just this very odd experience until I was able to kind of, realize, okay, I have these psychic abilities and learning how to work with them. But, for those of you, everyone's different. So their spiritual awakening journey is going to be different. Your catalyst may be different. For most people, it's some sort of painful experience that is the catalyst to the awakening journey. But going back to the reason why I created Ignite Your Soul, now the reason why I did this is because, again, I suffered for so long. And when I realized that we can actually wake up and still enjoy life. Because there's this kind of idea, and I went through this phase as well, where you wake up and then you almost take everything so seriously, especially during the healing stage where you're like, I need to heal myself and I need to do all these spiritual practices and I can't do this and I can't do that and all of these different things. And I had all of these rules for myself, and I think it was because I needed them. Right? At a time I needed them. And I had a very blocked sacral chakra. So I wasn't allowing a lot of fun into my life. I was very rigid, I was very responsible, and I was very serious, which is great. I mean, I think that's a good trait to have, or good traits to have, but we also have to have fun. And this was the huge realization and shift for me. And so I realized that we can wake up and still enjoy worldly pleasures, meaning that we don't derive our sense of self from our ego anymore. We don't derive our sense of self from our mind and from, these things in the physical world. But we can still enjoy the things in the physical world. So if we still want the dream home, if we still want the dream car, all of these things we can have, but it's about not deriving our sense of self. And when we do that, we end the suffering. So we're able to actually experience the whole vast universe and the expansion that is, right, without the attachment. And I think that is, the key to living a really fulfilling life. And so this is why I created Ignite Your Soul, because it starts off with the foundation, right? So it's the self-love course. I always recommend this to everyone. It's so fundamental. But this course goes into self-love, it goes into boundaries, it goes into relationship dynamics, but it also goes into being able to tap into that energy beyond our mind. Because that's where self-love is. That's where peace is. There's an energy beyond our mind, which I like to call the soul energy, and that's where our true nature is. And so when we have that foundation of self, where we're tapped into that and we're whole and complete. So internally, we're not feeling any emptiness. We're not feeling a sense of lack. We're not feeling like we need something to complete us. So we're whole and complete. Foundation, self-love. Then we can move on to the Conscious Manifestation Masterclass, where we can start to manifest what we want from a conscious place, meaning that we're bringing more peace into the process. So we're not stuck in our mind all day long. We're able to be present and enjoy and allow life to unfold while also manifesting. And so this course goes into being able to manifest something specific Or if you want to just go general and allow the universe to bring something in, that's fine as well. So you can use that course however you see fit. So if you have something specific, that's great. You can do that, but you don't have to have something specific as well. And then lastly, we go into the Take Your Power Back Masterclass. And this is actually really fundamental, and it's kind of a good full circle final wrap up, because it's really, there's so many ways in life where we give our power away. We all do. We're all guilty of it. And, it's when we start to understand how this works and how we can actually get our power back in any situation, this can really transform and up-level our lives. If any of that resonates with you and you're really ready for that next step on your journey, you can click the link below. And I also now have one-on-one personal coaching. So if you decide that you want to work through the school, but you also want to coach with you there one-on-one, then that's also available. And I'd be happy to work with you guys. So it's a 1-month coaching program. So the reason why I've done 1 month is because it's really important for me to work with you for an extended period of time as you're growing and shifting and using these processes. So again, if that's something that you're looking into or thinking about, you can click the link below and get more information. But let's go into the number one sign here that you're going through a spiritual awakening. So all of this is kind of, tied in. But the number one sign that you're going through a spiritual awakening is that you feel, it's going to sound kind of odd, but you feel like you're losing your mind. So you genuinely may feel and ask yourself, am I literally crazy? Am I going crazy? I remember asking myself this question. I thought I was crazy. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't know who to call. I don't know who to talk to about this, because I didn't know anyone else who had gone through an awakening. I had no idea of anyone personally. So I'd see people online and stuff like that, but never anyone personal in my life going through an awakening. And it was really scary. And it was actually very isolating for, a great period of time, because what is happening is you actually are losing your mind. Temporarily, but that's okay. Because we should lose our minds, right? Like we should literally lose the attachment to the mind. And, as we surrender the ego and the mind, we step into sort of a new dimension. And it's a peaceful dimension. And that dimension connects us to our higher selves. It connects us to infinite wisdom. It connects us to signs and synchronicities and, the world outside of this, egoic scope. Right? Because there's actually so much going on and there's so many things happening within this universe. And so, when we start to wake up, yes, we're going to feel crazy because we're living an illusion our whole lives. And then it's like someone takes a hammer and starts to crack on that illusion, right? Let's say it's like a glass ball. Then we live in this glass ball illusion. And then someone comes in with a hammer and starts to crack it. And we start to kind of see through the cracks. Oh, wait a second. Is this really true? This doesn't seem right. Wait, why am I starting to question this thing that always seemed, real to me, right? And then all of a sudden, it's just everything shatters. And that shattering is the awakening where it's like, whoa. And most people go through a dark night of the soul where it's like your whole life falls apart. But this is a good thing. I know it doesn't feel like it, but everything in life is good. Even if it seems bad, it's always leading us to something good. So if you're going through that period where you're going through a dark night and everything is really, shattering in your life and you feel like nothing makes any sense and you're suffering all the time, don't worry. You're going to hit that beautiful sweet spot where your mind finally surrenders because it's had enough pain. And we sometimes have to suffer. It's not to say that we have to, but sometimes it's the only way for us to kind of see beyond the illusion. And I know for me it was. Like I didn't transform until I had enough suffering. And it's like, okay, you need a way out. And what's funny is what we're really looking for when we're looking for that kind of way out is we don't want to escape our lives, even though sometimes it feels like that. We don't want to escape our lives. We want to escape our mind. We want to escape the stories in our mind and the stories that are causing the emotional reaction. And so once we learn how to live our lives beyond our mind, we find tremendous peace. And it doesn't mean that the stories don't pop up. It doesn't mean that we don't get triggered. It doesn't mean that the same emotions from our childhood don't come back up at some point. They do. Of course they do. But we're able to navigate them with presence. Because what begins to sort of neutralize and sort of clear all of our past karma and all of our traumas and all these triggers that keep coming up, right? In our relationships, they come up in our work environment, they come up in our daily life. They're all there because it's just a part of our consciousness, and anything in our consciousness is going to be projected out. But what we do is we neutralize it with presence. So we become aware. By just observing something, you take away its power. So it has power when it is you. So when you have your painful story or painful trigger of, let's say for most people, it's I'm not enough or I'm not worthy, right? When that story comes up and you believe that that is true, you identify with that and you are that. So you are the feeling of I'm not enough. You are the feeling of I'm not worthy, right? Then you're in it. Then it has power over you. But when you can step back and go, oh, that's that story again. Oh, that's that belief again. And it's almost like you're looking at it from a distance. That right there neutralizes, that almost alchemizes it. And that's really what the spiritual awakening is that we're starting to realize we are not the ego, we are not the mind, we are not our painful stories. You know, a lot of what we're experiencing right now is not even real, it's temporary, it's an illusion. So let's not get attached to it, because if we get attached to it, we suffer, right? And so, and again, this doesn't mean that we don't love deeply. It doesn't mean that we become like super avoidant. It just means that we give our all, but we realize that everything is temporary and it's going to leave at some point. Everything's going to end at some point. So we enjoy it while it's here. And so coming full circle to everything that I was just talking about at the beginning with Ignite Your Soul, that's why it's so important that, again, we build that foundation, right? We figure out, you know, who are we beyond our mind, and we start to tap into that soul energy that brings us ultimate peace no matter what's happening. No matter what happens in our lives, we can be at peace because it's something that is innate within us. We have the ability to tap into that. And then from that place, we can experience all of the joys of this physical world and more of the physicality of it. We can enjoy the relationships. We can enjoy the friendships. We can enjoy our family members. We can enjoy, you know, our cars or our luxury items. We can enjoy our home. We can enjoy gardening, whatever it is that you like, right? You can enjoy it, but you're not attached to it. You know it's not going to be here forever, and you don't identify with it. So anyways, I'm realizing that this is a lot longer than I normally speak. I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of rant style video on spiritual awakening. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you guys are interested in joining Ignite Your Soul Self-Mastery School or working with me one-on-one for an entire month, the information is going to be down below. But I'm sending you guys absolute love and light, and I'll see you soon. Take care.